I told you pumpkin spice waffles would be inevitable. Hi everyone, it's Tasha and welcome to another recipe video. And today, obviously, we are making pumpkin spice waffles. I keep seeing it's been the year of the waffle for me ever since I got my hands on a proper actual waffle maker. I've lost count of how many waffles I've made this year now. It's like at one point it was once a week. A bit less now, maybe twice a month. Still a lot of waffles. But of course we're in October now, so obviously making pumpkin spice waffles is practically an obligation. Timestamps are down below by the way if you want to skip straight to the making of these waffles. But if you don't mind a bit of verbal waffle, please stick around. I like to explain things before we start, and sometimes you might find that it will answer questions that you have down the road. So my first proper waffle recipe for this waffle machine was my crisp and fluffy waffle recipe. It is my tried and tested waffle recipe. I swear I was making waffles every day to perfect that recipe, and it's pretty darn reliable. For these pumpkin waffles though, they are indeed going to be fluffy, crisp a little. You are going to get them a little bit crisp on the outside, however, because we're using pumpkin puree in it, which is quite a high water content ingredient, the waffles are also going to be quite moist. So even though you're letting them cool on the wire rack to keep that edge crisp, they will, after a few minutes, start to soften a little bit. They won't be properly crunchy and crisp, just a little crisp around the edge. And that is okay, because that is the nature when you bake or make this sort of thing with pumpkin puree. But of course the upside to that is you've got a wonderfully moist, almost cakey texture. And that's it, these are super easy, so there's not much more for me to say. So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. Let's make some waffles. Here I have 150 grams of plain flour. I'm going to add a teaspoonful of baking powder. I'm going to add half a teaspoonful of cinnamon, quarter teaspoonful of ground ginger, and a quarter teaspoonful of ground nutmeg. And also a little bit of pinch of salt too. And to sweeten it up, I'm going to add 30 grams of caster sugar. I'm going to give those a little stirry stir. And now I'm going to add 2 eggs and 100 grams of pumpkin puree. And also a teaspoonful of vanilla extract. And we're going to add 60 grams of melted unsalted butter, which I've also let cool a little bit. And I'm going to start giving this a bit of a mix. Now we're going to gradually add in 230 millilitres of milk. And careful not to stir too much because we don't want the flour to get all tough by activating the gluten. Excuse me, got tongue-tied there. So we're literally just going to stir until it's combined. So once it's combined, don't just keep beating it because that will make the flour seize up. And that is our waffle batter. Now over here I have preheated my waffle iron so it's nice and hot. If you need to, give yours a little brushing of vegetable oil if it's not already non-stick. Mine doesn't need that though. I've said in more detail how this particular stage one works in my crisp and fluffy waffles video, so I'm not going to do all of that again. Your waffle maker may or may not be different, so just cook your waffles as per your waffle instructions. But here's how I make mine. I've preheated it. Woo, it is nice and hot. And I'm going to pour some of the batter straight in. Let's close her up, and mine happens to beep when it's done, so I can sit back and relax. It already smells amazing. Right, once it's beeped, which it has, I'm going to free mine from my waffle maker and I'm going to cool it on the rack so that it gets nice and crisp on the outside. Luckily mine has that little moat there, so it gets any overflow and I get perfectly shaped waffles. Excellent, now we're going to keep going until we've used all of our batter up. And there we go. I would say that this recipe makes 4 waffles because I very clearly overfilled my previous 3 and I managed to make this quite neat looking 3/4 waffle, but if you're measuring it carefully, it definitely makes 4 big waffles. I am not a careful measurer though. Anyway, let's rescue this, and I think I'll serve one of these up with some cream and maybe some crushed ginger biscuits as well. Look at that little piece. It would be rude if I didn't. These are looking good, and as you can see I have also made some pumpkin spice syrup. I actually have a recipe for that. I'll link that up above and down below in the description. It's really easy to make and it has real pumpkin in it, and you can use it in pumpkin spice lattes, yes. And I'm going to drizzle a bit over our very delicious looking pumpkin waffle, so let's go. I've also put a few dollops of whipped cream on top, and I decided to crush a few ginger nut biscuits over the top as well, because you can't have pumpkin pie without some sort of crust, and I thought ginger biscuits, the spice of them would go really well with the pumpkin spice theme. Right, let's do some syrup. Yum! I should have pre-cut myself a little slice. Hang on, let me grab my fork. That smells so good. And as you could hear, there's still a little bit of Christmas to it. Gonna get some syrup, a little bit of cream. Cheers! Perfection. Let me dig a little bit more so you can see the insides. Look at how light and airy the insides are. See, even though it's really fluffy and moist, it's also very light. Now, if my calculations are correct, I am back from Malaysia by now. I've pre-filmed this video because I'll probably be rotting in bed with jet lag at the moment. So I have made sure to prepare so you don't run out of content. Very important. And to appease the YouTube gods so I don't fall off the wagon. Not that I was ever on the wagon. But you never know what's going to set the algorithm off, for good or bad. In any case, you saw how super simple this is. I hope you give it a go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video, and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.tastes, and find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. It's going to be November next week. Where's the time gone?